Yeah, I don't, it's 3.9. But it's at Duramax. It's a little inline six-cylinder. It's got a twin turbo.
Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Valerie, if you call the roll, please.
Commissioner Snow?
Here.
Commissioner Curry?
Here.
Commissioner Delanoy?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Penny?
Here. At this time, if everyone please rise for the invocation led by Commissioner Penny Curry and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Almighty and gracious God, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude for the opportunity to serve our community and our nation. We ask for your guidance as we gather to make decisions that will impact the lives of those we represent. Grant us wisdom and clarity in our discussions, that we may seek the common good in all that we do. Help us to listen with open hearts, to speak with integrity, and to work together in unity for the betterment of all. May your spirit of justice, peace, and compassion guide us in every decision we make. And may we always remember that our duty is to serve with humility and respect for one another. We seek your blessing on this meeting and on all those whose lives will be touched by our actions. Lord, I ask you to look after our first responders and military across the country. And may your grace be with us today and always. Amen.
Amen. Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Curry. We have several presentations this evening, and there may have been some miscommunication with two of them. So without any dissent from the commission, I'm going to go ahead and move item D, which is the Gold Ribbon Award, which is a presentation from Florida Healthcare, to the first thing on our agenda, hoping that the other presentations will get here on time. If you want to go ahead and come forward, Brittany. Just need to state your name.
Say my name.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Brittany Hawthorne. I'm from Florida Healthcare Plan. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, mayors, commissioners, and elected officials. Florida Healthcare Plans would like to congratulate the City of Holly Hill for earning the Gold Award for Employee Health Initiatives. We are thrilled to recognize the city for achieving the prestigious Gold Award for their continuous and outstanding commitment to employee health and well-being. Your dedication to creating and implementing impactful wellness initiatives demonstrates a true investment in the health of your workforce and sets a strong example for other organizations. Once again, congratulations on this well-deserved honor, and keep up the great work on all the employee health that you guys have been doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 years in a row.
Okay, so we'll get back in order. I know we have the Employee of the Year here. I see her. So I have a proclamation to read for you this evening. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill recognizing Donna Dungy, Finance Clerk, Class 2, as the 2024 Employee of the Year. Whereas Donna Dungy, Finance Clerk, Class 2, began her employment career with the City of Holly Hill in customer service since November 2023. And whereas Donna is known for her positive attitude, smile, and compassion, and whereas Donna consistently demonstrates the ability to connect with customers on a personal level, and everyone that walks up to Donna's window is treated with respect and kindness, and her ability to actively listen and show empathy builds trust and can diffuse any potential difficult customer service situation. And whereas, in addition to Donna's excellent customer service skills, Donna is a valuable team player. She trains new staff and is always willing to share her knowledge when needed. And whereas Donna always follows up with customers, vendors, and coworkers to ensure that the customers' concerns have been taken care of in a timely manner and professional manner, and consistently inquires with office staff and citizens when she has not seen them for a long period of time to see how they're doing and how they're feeling. And whereas Donna's commitment to delivering exceptional, consistent experiences is an asset to our city, and she is a wonderful role model to all other staff. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, hereby recognizes Donna Dungy, Finance Clerk Class 2, as Employee of the Year 2024.
We got to go down.
We will come to you for this one. We'll come over.
Either hire a whole bunch more white birds. We should pay them.
Whoops, we're not playing good.
You're supposed to take an official commissioner during our installation meeting, and we forgot.
And look who is good. Yeah,
They get no award, right? I feel like we're
Ready? Look at me. 1, 2, 3. And to the left side.
Yeah, I got it. Get it, Jeff? You get it fixed?
Okay, I'm just receiving a text and a phone call from one of our recipients saying they thought the meeting was at 6:30.
That's close enough.
Text in the back. So we're going to go ahead and move. We have two more presentations to do this evening, but I don't see either of them here. So we're going to go ahead and put those on hold, and we're going to go ahead and move to public comments. And at this time, we have, let me introduce Mayor Nancy Miller from the City of Daytona Beach Shores. Thank you, Nancy.
So again, Mayor Miller, Daytona Beach Shores. I'm also the president of Florida League of Mayors and the president of Volusia League of Cities. So on behalf of Florida League of Mayors, congratulations, Mayor Penny, on your recent election. Commissioner Snow, Commissioner Delanoy, congratulations. So Mayor Penny, we welcome you to the Florida League of Mayors, or should I say welcome back. I know it's your second time around. My focus this year is small business, and thank you very much for you and Vice Mayor coming to our regional event in St. Augustine and Flagler Beach. My priority this year is partnerships with the cities and with small businesses. I hope you learned something that day. We'll continue to work on that. I also want to thank you for your role on Volusia League of Cities Board of Directors and as our past president. We are so grateful to have your leadership, so I'm looking forward to working with you again in this capacity. I also, one more thing I want to thank you for is we recently, with some of the flood issues that we're having in Volusia County, we've come up with a stormwater mitigation and flooding committee, and your mayor has been kind enough to serve on that committee. We had one meeting. His input was valuable, so we appreciate you doing that. One way or another, we're going to look at every possible solution we have to the flooding, with your leadership, I think we should be able to do that, and the other leaders of the other cities. So Mayor Penny, I want to thank you for your many, many years of service on this commission and to the city of Holly Hill, and to each and every one of you for your service. Thanks for letting me be here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Come on, you can do it again. Let's try it again. Okay, so if the commission will give me a little leeway, we're going to jump around back and forth. I apologize to the audience, but I see that both of our second recipients are in the building, so we're going to go ahead and jump back to our presentations. So at this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Jim Legary to come to the podium.
Jim made it, huh?
So this is one of the honors that I get to perform as the mayor. And bear with me, there are a lot of whereases and therefores. Every other sentence is a whereas. I read one of these the other night at Copper Bottom Distilleries, and I almost got booed because it was too long. But anyway, so well-deserving, and so here you are, Mr. Legary. I have something to read for you. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, recognizing Jim Legary as a Citizen of the Year for 2024. Whereas the City of Holly Hill, Florida takes great pride in recognizing outstanding individuals whose tireless efforts and dedication have enriched the lives of our community members and enhanced the quality of life in our city. And whereas Jim Legary has been a steadfast champion for the citizens of Holly Hill for well over 25 years, demonstrating an unwavering commitment to the well-being and success of our community. And whereas Jim Legary has shown exceptional dedication by rarely missing a city commission meeting, offering valuable insight on issues that affect our residents, and consistently participating in community meetings to provide input and guidance. And whereas Jim Legary has served on the City of Holly Hill as a former member of the Board of Planning and Appeals, where his expertise and dedication contributed significantly to the thoughtful development and planning of our community. And whereas, in response to the closure of our public library, Jim Legary exemplified his resourcefulness and compassion by creating a community library where residents can take a book, read it, either return it, share it with another, or keep it, thus fostering the love of reading and learning in our community. And whereas Jim Legary has raised his family in Holly Hill, instilling them the values of community and service, and has successfully run a business in our city for decades, contributing to the local economy and serving as a role model for entrepreneurial spirit. And whereas Jim Legary's unwavering commitment to Holly Hill serves as an inspiration to all, demonstrating the power of civic engagement and the impact one individual may make on the lives of many. Now, therefore, I, John Penny, Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, on behalf of the City Commission and the citizens of Holly Hill, do hereby proclaim Jim Legary as a 2024 Citizen of the Year, and further express our deepest gratitude for his many contributions, his selflessness, dedication, and his enduring commitment to the betterment of our community. We encourage all citizens to join us in celebrating and honoring Jim Legary for his outstanding achievements and service.
Way to go, Jim. Way to go, Jim
We're
Legary.
going to come take a picture, and then if you want to say something.
I have words.
You have words?
You have something to say? Are we going down again?
No, we're going to take a picture.
Are we going down?
Congratulations, my new friend.
I'm in a minute, small bit of appreciation. You know that one?
Jim, face the plaque out.
Yep, yeah.
Forgot what I was doing.
1, 2, 3.
Want a picture with your family?
Y'all want to come up here? Do you want something?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Family trait.
Hey, we're gonna get it right soon, Doc.
1, 2, 3, hold on. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I'd like to speak now.
If you like, floor is yours.
So do a speech, Jim?
It's 3.
3.
We came here 37 years ago. That's amazing. I think somewhere in there, we took the kids to the library. You and I and Mark and several other people harassed the county about to know that. We went to, the kids went to Holly Hill School.
Jim, pull the mic up a little bit. They can't hear you in the back.
The kids went to Holly Hill School where Mrs. Crockett and one of the real princesses of the world took care of them. And somewhere around I think it was 95, I got a sash to wear in the Christmas parade. Mr. Congeniality. You remember that, Jeff? No? I thought that was great. Yeah. We spoke with, I want to mention as many people as I can. He says, Bill Arthur, you may recall Bill Arthur and I had several conversations. And he asked me how he was supposed to know something if nobody told him. So I've been here for 25 years now. Yeah. Yeah, that was the other people I met here. Gordon Williamson. I don't know if y'all remember Gordon, but Gordon was just a nationwide marvelous human being. He lived here with his wife, Natalie. They were associated with the News Journal. I was kind of surprised that, and I've been doing a tremendous amount of reflection on, I hope that what you said in that proclamation is correct. I have a lot of respect for y'all, for listening to him occasionally, over and over and over again. I don't know how you do it. I don't. I would lose it. So I want to thank y'all for permitting everybody that wants to come up here and speak with you and somehow enlighten you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so we have our last presentation. If Mark and Jerry Madiman, please come to the podium. Good evening. So I have a few words here to read for you. This is a resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, recognizing Mark and Jerry Madden, owners of Madden's Ace Hardware, as the Corporate Citizens of the Year for 2024. Whereas, Mark and Jerry Madden, owners of Madden's Ace Hardware, have demonstrated exceptional dedication to the economic development and betterment of the City of Holly Hill. And whereas Mark and Jerry Madden opened their first Ace Hardware store in 1990, showcasing their entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to serving their community. And whereas in 2006, Mark and Jerry Madden chose Holly Hill as a location for their third Ace Hardware store, replacing a dilapidated and vacant mobile home park with a thriving business, exemplifying their commitment to revitalization and redevelopment. And whereas Madden's Ace Hardware has grown exponentially, now owning and operating 6 Ace Hardware stores across Florida and North Carolina, setting a standard for excellence and leadership in business. And whereas in 2018, Mark and Jerry Madden further demonstrated their belief in Holly Hill's potential by purchasing a vacant car lot adjacent to their Holly Hill store and redeveloping it into the corporate headquarters for Madden's Enterprises, reinforcing their dedication to local economic growth and commitment enhancement. And whereas the Maddens are incredible corporate citizens who are always eager to give back to the community, sponsoring several Round Up Your Totals at the Register, events to raise money for causes like Live Like Cameron and the Children's Miracle Network. And whereas Mark and Jerry Madden both volunteer at the Elks Lodge, where they have been actively volunteering for 47 years, supporting veterans' causes, providing holiday meals for families, and ensuring Christmas gifts for underprivileged children. They also support Toys for Tots and the Kiwanis. And whereas during disasters, their store is one of the first to open and the last to close to meet the community's needs. And whereas in 2024, Hurricane Helene caused devastating flood damage that completely destroyed one of their North Carolina stores. The loss was uninsured, causing significant personal financial loss to Mark and Jerry Madden. Despite this, the Maddens ensured all of their employees were transferred to other locations to avoid missing a paycheck. And whereas they constantly are donating to golf tournaments and other local agencies to help give back, and they even recently built a home in Holly Hill, making them both business owners and residents who have invested deeply in our community. And whereas the Maddens also own 2 rental homes in Holly Hill and have recently encouraged their grandson to purchase a home in Holly Hill also, further demonstrating their commitment to the community. Whereas their generosity, commitment, and investments in Holly Hill have greatly enhanced the quality of life and opportunities for residents and businesses alike. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, John Penny, Mayor of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, along with the City Commissioners, do hereby proclaim Mark and Jerry Madden as the 2024 Corporate Citizens of the Year in recognition of their outstanding contributions to the economic development, redevelopment, and overall enhancement of our community. Be it further resolved that the City of Holly Hill extends its heartfelt gratitude to Mark and Jerry Madden for their unwavering commitment to the betterment of our city and celebrates their achievements and continued success.
Obligated to take a picture. You're not obligated to speak, you're obligated to take a picture. Okay.
You should have just stayed down there.
I don't know that was for long.
Congratulations. She's too young to have 47 years anywhere.
It's incredible.
We needed another girl. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner, I just want to thank you very much. I don't really have too much to say. I think you've said most of it, John. This year has been tough for us with the loss of our store up in Swananoa. It was a complete loss, as you said. I've been through hurricanes here for 35 years in this business and never seen anything hit like what happened east of Asheville up there in Swananoa. We had 5.5 feet of mud and water through the whole, and that was our largest store out of the 6. So it's completely destroyed, but we will rebuild. We're working on that now, and the beginning of this year, Jerry and I are retiring after 35 years doing this, and our children are taking over the business, so.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's been a good ride for us. We've had fun, and Holly Hill has been great for us. You know, for a while, we weren't sure about wanting to do business in Holly Hill, but it's been the greatest opportunity for us of all 6 stores. It's been wonderful. We love the little city. And like John said, we sold a big home up in Ormond Beach and decided to move to Holly Hill, and this is our home now, and we look forward to continuing here for a while. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
You gotta move to Holly Hill, see, they did. What? You gotta move to Holly Hill, they did.
Sir, keep your comments to yourself. It's not time for you to speak. Now it's time for public comments. This is time for the audience to address the commission on anything not on our regular agenda. Would anyone like to address the commission? Yes, sir, in the front row, you're first. If you could state your name and the city you live in, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir, I will. Hello, my name is Steve Updike. I live at 300 Flowmich Street. I am a retired senior citizen from Virginia. I have been abused by my neighbor, Timothy Daniels. He lives with his mother, Marion Benet, at 1606 Cordova Avenue. I wondered why the police did not help me, but then Sheriff Chitwood said the Holly Hill police were sexually abusing people. Then I heard even more horror stories about abuse involving some of the people I mentioned here. Sheriff Chitwood and others know when criminals do bad things, they hide their crimes and bad actions. That is why Holly Hill needs to start a Stop Abuse group here to support abused people and help stop all of the abuse. And I'm speaking for you women, you know what I'm talking about. Now, there's another problem here, and that's the problem with flooding, okay? We need to stop the flooding here because the houses and the roads are flooding. Sheriff Chitwood said he could save Holly Hill $1 million. That money could be used to buy machines and hire people to clean out the ditches, drains, and ponds that get blocked by the storms and hurricane waters, and so they can flood, the water can flow out to the sea. If you stop the flooding and if you stop the abuse here in Holly Hill, more people will move here and do business. And that will be good for everybody, and that will be good for Holly Hill. And I'm just trying to help you, and if you want me to help you, I'm available. I don't know what I can do exactly for you, but I know that there is an abuse problem. It's hidden. It's one of those things that has been in the closet, but yet it's the elephant in the room. I have talked to so many women this year in Holly Hill that have been abused. I cannot tell you, never in my life have I seen anything like it. I grew up, thank God, in a family where my father loved and respected my mother and took good care of us. I am surprised that I would come here I'm going to be 74 in a few weeks, and I have never seen or I have never recognized such a problem. And I'm not just saying you. I know it's worldwide, but it's come to my attention here. For some reason, I have talked to people who have personally, besides myself, I'm a senior, I've suffered senior abuse. And I've called for the police to help, and they really didn't do much to help me. They did help some. I'm not here to bash everybody. I'm just here to say that I would like, this would do a lot for your reputation, because you did get a black eye when Chit would have to talk about how it is that there was sexual abuse.
Thank you,
so
sir.
if you did something to stop abuse, you would look a lot better.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience like to address the commission? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Charlotte Bungard. Can you hear me?
No, ma'am.
Okay, closer?
Yes, ma'am, you got it.
There is.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Charlotte Bungard. I'm from Holly Hill. Do you need the street or no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, as I'm sure you're all aware, flooding in Volusia County has been a topic, and the City County Council had a meeting today regarding this. I'm not sure what guidelines exist for new bills and rezoning regarding flood prevention in Holly Hill. I believe there are guidelines about not building on a floodplain, but what about building on wetlands? Are there any requirements regarding review of new or rezoned builds for potential flooding of surrounding areas by a qualified professional such as a civil engineer? If not, it seems there should be. And this is not my area of expertise. I really don't know this. My questions, though. For example, whatever is being developed on Flomish near the railroad tracks, I think it's an RV park, but I get different stories. I'm not quite sure what it is. But they're building something that looks like elevated sidewalks feet higher than the road, and that's a low road there. They've also completely removed all the trees and grasses, and this probably was a wetland before. What is the flooding impact on the surrounding neighborhood, the road, that's a road that floods all the time, especially right there, and the railroad tracks? Did anybody look at this? I know that development leads to increased tax base, and I get that. But what about the flood zones they create? In my neighborhood, there are about 60 houses in the 3 cul-de-sacs off Anniston. On the land adjacent to us, a developer built elevated houses, which were fine, it worked for it, we didn't flood then. And then several years later, they removed all the trees and grasses from the rest of their parcel, and they built a huge lake that filled up almost the entire parcel and named it Rainbow Lake. It's also considered a retention pond. Joe and I keep going back and forth on that. It's a retention, it's considered a retention pond too. In my opinion, one that fails all the time, but this lake or retention pond has now created a flood zone in our development, which previously was not in a flood zone. We've had massive flooding 2 times in 2 years, which started just after the lake was built. Can the city afford, oops, I better get going. Can the city afford the decrease in the tax base when these houses are abandoned or bought out due to repeated flooding, excuse me.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I just say one last positive thing about
You can wrap it up
Holly
real quick.
Hill? Okay. Holly Hill is a hidden gem. In my opinion, Holly Hill is a hidden gem. It has a small town feel. We know our neighbors. I don't want to lose it. I love Holly Hill. Okay, so I'm not trying to be negative. I'm truly asking questions.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Who else would like to address the commission in the front row? Yes, sir.
My name's Gabriel Varga, 501 Ridgewood Avenue, Holly Hill, pastor of Ridgewood Avenue Baptist Church. Holly Hill Mayor John Penny and the commissioners of Holly Hill have been violating the First Amendment rights of Ridgewood Avenue Baptist Church and Daytona Rescue Mission for 3 years or more. John Penny came to our church when we had put some things up on the sign that spoke of the wicked and immorality that was going on in Holly Hill, and informed me that he would no longer ever talk to me. The reason Mr. Penny gave was I was not a resident of Holly Hill. I did not own a business in Holly Hill and did not pay taxes. I told him that I was the duly elected pastor of Ridgewood Avenue Baptist Church and Daytona Rescue Mission, and I'm officially the chief executive officer of both of these organizations that are located in Holly Hill. Mr. Penny said that he will not recognize me and has instructed the commissioners not to speak with me or to interact with me, which they have done. Even the two new commissioners, Deborah Snow taking his place in Zone 1 and being commissioner and refusing even to say a word to me. Our faith has strong beliefs on these issues. They have spoken in commission meetings against our beliefs, which is against the law, because of continued wickedness and immoral activity of Holly Hill with cover-up of pervert commissioner and pervert police officers. They have known of their wicked crimes being covered up. Churches will continue to exercise our liberty of freedom of religion and calling out about sexual sins, and to have these responsible for allowing them to be removed from office. President Trump has just made an executive order guaranteeing you the freedom of religion in our country, which is being taken away by many governments like Holly Hill, Florida. He will be able to help us in our efforts to restore our rights of the First Amendment. 27 seconds left. Also, you are just like the government was before Trump took over, of wasting taxpayers' money, throwing millions of dollars at Pictona. They came in as the, whatever their name is, the rich people charity. They changed their name to Pictona. They've been making money ever since.
Thank you, sir.
Pay for them for 50 years. We're going to pay for them. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Thank you, sir. Bless your heart. Who else would like to address the commission? Danielle.
Thank you. Danielle Cortona, 904 Newcastle Court, Holly Hill, Florida. First, I want to thank Mr. Penny, Mayor Penny, for last meeting. He spent about 45 minutes with several of us.
Getting beat up.
Getting beat up. No, actually he wasn't. He thought he was, so he had the captain there, but he really wasn't. I appreciate what you did, because I know we're limited on time and you guys are limited on time to respond. And with some of that information, we put it into action. I know Commissioner Snow attempted to stop by, but it was a little heated at the moment, and
it's all good.
Our conversation didn't get heated.
But it really, I just want to come up here and thank you for doing that, and I appreciate your effort for stopping by also. Since that meeting, there's several of us that have looked into the CERT. Mayor Penny is going to give us some additional information of somebody who's already done it. The FEMA website, where a lot of that information is, has a thing saying, you know, the new administration, there's new rules enacted, so they're going to be updating. The last intro to community, the CERT response team class you can take was in 2020, so they're a little behind. And so we're looking into that and trying outside of you guys to get proactive in trying to do things that maybe can mitigate some of the stuff that we're unaware of and help in other areas. I gotta say, you know, I'm still gonna be myself, and when things arise, I'm gonna fight for myself and, you know, our neighborhood, because that's my job as a citizen of this city. I know there's times that I might sound aggressive, but it's not. It's that I love this city. I love my house. I have memories in my house. I love the people in the city. Yes, every city has issues and things that could be better, I agree with that 100%, but overall, I think most of us, it's more passion for what we love in our community. So with that, again, thank you for taking the time out. We hope to take it further and be able to do other things for the city.
Thank you.
And I know the feeling, my passion's often misplaced for anger, but I'm very passionate too, so I get what you're talking about.
Anyone else from the audience like to address the commission on anything not on our regular agenda this evening? Seeing none, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is my first time here. I'm a homeowner in Holyoke for the past 5 years.
Just state your name.
Oh, Scott Van Horn.
Okay.
And I've lived in Holyoke for about 20 years, but I'm addressing the same thing that a couple other people have, just with the flooding. I had some people, I'm not sure if it's any of you, that went door to door and were dropping off papers and stuff for it, saying how, you know, basically we're frustrated and stuff. I'm saying things that have already been said, obviously, but it is annoying, and I know all of my neighbors want to do whatever we can to support anything that can help stop the flooding for this. The thing that they're building on Flomich is a luxury RV resort for people who want to play pickleball from around the country. And that is the words from the developers from what was in the paper, that, which was like, oh, it's going to grab people from all over the country for pickleball. And it's kind of like yes, pickleball is popular. I don't think as much needed to grow in giant like RV park there. And my concern for that also with the elevated sidewalks, with the developments they're putting in there, is where all the water is going to go. So yeah, I just wanted to come here and say that I'm frustrated. I know it's not anybody here. I know it's an ongoing issue, but it needs to be resolved. And I'm sick of fixing stuff with my house and still dealing with flooring stuff and everything else. So that's basically it. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. Anyone else from the audience like to address the commission this evening? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close audience participation and try to address a few of the concerns. And just for the new people here, is that public participation is not a debate. It's not a give and take. It's that you address us, and then we'll be able to hopefully respond to most of your concerns collectively. If we start getting into debate back and forth, your 3 minutes goes up and you don't really get to say anything. Overwhelming topic tonight was flooding. Steve talked about flooding. Cheryl talked about flooding. Danielle talked about flooding. Scott talked about flooding. It's a bigger issue than any one of us can handle. And I appreciate you all for being here, because we're going to have to solve this problem collectively. We are going to get passionate, and we are going to pound our fists sometimes. And I'll share the words with Danielle that I shared with Commissioner Curry, that my father shared with me almost 20 years ago, is that it's very difficult when someone's watching you to tell the difference between passion and anger. When we're passionate, we raise our voices, our blood pressure goes up, and we pound our fists sometimes, and we're passionate. But the person you're talking to, you might think you're angry at them. So I appreciate your passion, Danielle. What makes this community great is a small hometown feel several people talked about, and I want it to continue to be that way. And so we are going to come up. This commission has said our number one priority for myself and the commission collectively is to address the flooding issues. We may not be able to solve all of your individual flooding problems, but we are going to get answers to the entire system. And we're going to come up with a plan, and we're going to try to execute that plan as cost effectively as we can. Cheryl mentioned something about flooding and wetlands and development and how does that happen. All these things are reviewed. The plans are reviewed by our planner, which is Brian Walker. If you want to develop something in our city, your architect and your engineer give us a plan. Then that plan is submitted to our planning department. Mr. Walker reviews that. St. John's Water Management reviews that to make sure that you're not going to flood your neighbors. The RV park came up several times tonight. Immediately after our last meeting, Mr. Forte went to work to try to get a layman's explanation of why the sidewalks are where they are, where the ponds are located, where they are. So I'm going to give the floor to Mr. Forte and see if he can, in a Reader's Digest version, very simple. He gave me all the water in, water out, this, that, and the other stuff, and it went over my head. But in the Reader's Digest version, layman's terms, I think you may get a better understanding of why it's that way.
Thanks, Mayor. So, after the last meeting, when I made a layman's attempt at trying to explain what the RV park situation was like, I had to step away from that conversation. You stepped in and stayed there for an hour. You have more patience than I do.
Raise your mic, I don't think they can hear you.
So I contacted I sent a letter off to the engineer who reviewed this. So you're right in the fact that site plans go to Brian, the city planner, the development director, for a certain type of review. It does go to the Water Management District for a certain type of review. The plans are designed by civil engineers. Then they're reviewed by civil engineers. They're reviewed by the civil engineers that are under contract with the city. So I went and we sent a letter to the engineer that reviewed it, and I asked for them to explain why the sidewalk is the way it is. And I'm going to read this verbatim as I was told, and the scenario that she gave me. And whether anybody likes it or not, this is the engineer's scientific response to that situation. I can do nothing else about it. It works. That's what they tell us. So it says, per the request for a written explanation, FEMA and the city's development policies require that new developments cannot cause adverse flood impacts to off-site properties. When properties are constructed in a 100-year floodplain, they could affect areas where floodwater is stored during and after a storm and can displace floodwaters. There is potential that flood levels surrounding the site could be increased without careful design considerations. To ensure there is not an adverse flood risk impact to adjacent properties, any development resulting in a loss of floodplain storage is required to provide compensatory storage in addition to demonstrating no rise in the resulting elevation of stormwater. For the amount of floodplain compensation required is dependent on existing conditions, the footprint proposed by the development within the floodplain, and the potential depth of future flooding in the areas. Together, these factors indicate the potential volume of floodwater that could be displaced by development. Design of a project in the floodplain requires displacement of floodwater in a storage area, which then releases the water at a controlled rate. Why can areas of the project be constructed higher? Areas can be constructed higher as other areas are cut lower to result in a neutral or no-rise result. This is known as a cup for compensation. For every cup of soil in the location, another cup of soil must be removed, resulting in a volume increase of 0 or no rise. The volume between the base flood elevation and the seasonal high water table is where the cut and fill calculations occur. To demonstrate that floodplain compensation is adequate for a site, the following information is required: a topographic site survey, an estimated seasonal high water table, which is usually determined by geotechnical work and geotechnical reference material, the existing 100-year flood elevation. This is the flood level that FEMA requires new development to be designed to, a plan showing where the flood compensation area is located, a cut and fill calculation demonstrating the floodplain compensation in the post-development condition matches or exceeds the floodplain volume in the pre-development conditions. In the case of the Lake Bell RV Park, the floodplain compensation ponds are on the northern, eastern, and central portions of the property, as shown on sheet C6 of the plans. That's part of the site plans. These areas will be cut to allow for floodplain storage. The cut areas allow fill in the southern and western portions of the property. The cut volumes equal or exceed the fill volumes. Additionally, the design of the swale along the western boundary allows for routing of flow from properties on Tuscaloosa Avenue. So that explains what happens. And if you look at the diagram that's up top, you'll see it's kind of, let me see if I can point some down. You'll see that the lower line is where this is really not working too well, is where the elevation of the land is. And in order to create the compensating storage needed for that property, they had to dig down in order to create a pond, and then they were able to use that dirt elsewhere on the property. So the example that she used is to say that the current conditions of the property were like having these, call them 5-gallon buckets sitting on top of the land that are going to hold rainwater. And those buckets were removed and dug down, and they built a jacuzzi at the surface of the land so that the water can sit below the land. That's how it was designed by the engineers, that's how it was reviewed by the engineers, that's how it was reviewed by St. John's Water Management District, and to meet the 100-year floodplain requirements. Now, when you get 18 to 20 and 25 inches of rain in a 24-hour period, there's no system that's going to stop it, and I'll tell you today, if it happens again, we will flood again. This project has nothing to do with the amount of excessive rain that fell in a 24-hour period.
Mayor.
Thank you. Yes.
Just real quick, because I was almost glossed over when Joe and I were talking about it, but I kind of reckoned it to kind of like a pool that they've built up the sides for, and it's going to collect in that bowl, if you will, and that's sort of the way I explained it. It's kind of like a bowl where the water goes into, and that large berm, if you will, or sidewalk, is just going to help hold more water in there. And that's my layman's terms. But could we just real quick give a quick rundown? I'll do it, you can do it, whoever, about the process of what we're doing about flooding. It's not as though we have not been doing anything.
Right.
I ran that down, you weren't at the last meeting?
No, I wasn't at the last.
I ran down all the things that we were doing at the last meeting, so all that stands. The only thing I could add to that is we are interviewing a stormwater manager next week in the hopes of getting a stormwater manager on board that's going to help us determine what our needs are, what our demands are, what our maintenance should be. So we've been doing a lot of things progressively, more than I've ever done stormwater management before. But like I said, it's going to help the stormwater system. It may not help anyone's individual.
I try to tell people it will help mitigate it. We will never, ever, ever in the state of Florida get rid of flooding, but we can help mitigate it, and that is my goal, and that's what I've said since last year.
And that's what my direction is.
Well, I
That's
believe
what I'm
this entire commission has that goal.
Yeah, what we're doing collectively, Mayor Miller alluded to it, is that the elected official roundtable, it's the mayors from the 16 cities in the county. We meet twice, every other month, to discuss issues. And the number one issue we're talking about now is flooding. It's not just a Holly Hill issue. It's not just a Volusia County issue. It's a Florida issue. It's an East Coast of the United States issue. And so I have volunteered to serve on the Flood and Stormwater Subcommittee that will report back. We had our first meeting last week at the county and met with the county engineers. We are in a jointly funded study. I think it's $196,000, Joe? $194,000, something like that.
Our study's $194,000.
Now, we are spending that money collectively with the county to identify the hotspots. Now, most of you in the room know the hotspots because you live in them. That's why you're here. But we have to gather all this data. There will be several different civil engineers. Daytona will do the same thing. Ormond will do the same thing. South Daytona will do the same thing. The problem we have is that engineers use different modeling software. So the county, because they're sponsoring part of the funding of this, have instructed the engineers to make sure that they can create it with whatever they want, but then they have to translate it to another language, software language, so they can all talk to each other. So that Ormond's report can talk to Holly Hill's report, can talk to Daytona's report. That's the good thing. The bad thing is that, according to the county engineers, there is not a stormwater management system designed in Volusia County to handle more than 11 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. That's what we're dealing with. And so when we have excess of 11 inches, and it doesn't have to be in a 24-hour period, Remember when Helene came through and it rained for 10 days, and then Milton came through? We didn't have as much rain in Milton, but when you have to add it up, the water doesn't go anywhere. So that's the depressing thing, is that some of these issues we won't be able to solve, but we are getting answers, and we are going to trust the science. I have several friends of mine that try to solve these things around a bonfire in their backyard sometimes, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. But we're going to trust the science and we're going to execute with professionals. So, anyone else? Oh, one other thing. I just wanted to, I think, responded to everyone's issues here except Mr. Vargas, and just for the pleasure of the audience, he made too many lies and too many misrepresentations to even try to address this evening. So, thank you for putting up with that. Anyone else like to make any comments on public comments this evening?
That's all I have.
Okay, so now we're going to move to item 4, which is the approval of the minutes from the January 21st, 2025 workshop and the January 28th, 2025 regular city commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any discussion needed? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to our consent agenda. The action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless the city commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to our regular agenda. Item 6, Resolution 2025-R-11.
Resolution number 2025-R-11 by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, appointing members to the Board of Planning and Appeals and setting forth the term and expiration date for said members and providing an effective date. The nominees are listed in the body of the resolution and the type of member they are and their term expiration dates.
Any questions for staff? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion for approval. Do we have to insert the names individually, or since they're in?
They're already in.
Okay.
You're approving the resolution with those in there.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
You need.
Well, just for clarification, there are 4 names in there. There's 5 members of the board. At the previous meeting, John Danio was appointed to fill the remaining term of a position that was open, and at that time, he was granted that extension plus a 2-year term. And then the other members of the board that are remaining are Tony Casada, Mike Meyer, and Dennis Smith. And then Kim Nugent, who's in the audience here this evening, is going to be a new appointee to the Board of Planning and Appeals, and I want to at least recognize her for being here this evening.
Thank you for your willingness to serve.
Yes.
So I have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion?
Second.
I think we already had a second.
Okay.
Right, Val? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to ordinance 2025-0-3082.
Ordinance number 2025-0-3082 by title only for first reading. An ordinance of the City of Holly Hill, Florida, repealing Chapter 2 Administration, Article 2 City Commission, Division 2 Meetings, adopting a new Chapter 2 Administration, Article 2 City Commission, Division 2 Meetings, to adopting new rules and conducting city meetings, providing for conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Any questions for staff? Anyone from the audience like to comment? Yes, sir, in the front row.
Gabriel Varga, 501 Ridgewood Avenue, Holly Hill. I was at the meeting, the workshop, when this was proposed, and this is the work of, it's not the work of Mr. Forte or the staff here. They've taken from another city and just duplicated, scratched a couple things off, and they did the hard work and spent the money to do the work. And they scratched a couple items, put a couple items in. One they should have left in that they scratched out, and John Penny thought it was the one on when you make comments, all the other cities, Daytona Beach and the other cities all around here, Port Orange. By the way, where they stole all this stuff from the work of Port Orange, it wasn't their work. So anyway, just so you know that. But one of the things they scratched out that they have in the other cities is when you come to make public comments that you're registered and it's decent and order. I was here at the last meeting. There were some dear people sitting right here in the front, and they had a problem with squatters on the property next door to them. And Commissioner Penny running around the block, it was her thing, and she said it was Chitwood's business, was a bunch of baloney, and it was Holly Hills. Let me talk, it's my time, you talk later.
Address the chairman, sir. Address me,
But
sir.
anyway, what had happened was they were denied the speech. They were denied speech here. What is done here, and we need to have the public to put their input in. The only input you want is what you desire, anything that isn't. So that needs to be put in there, and you need to read the thing. Let's talk about the thing a little bit, not just say this is what we stole from Port Orange and took a couple things out and added a couple things. Do your homework, okay? Let's talk about it.
Bless your heart, sir. Would anyone else from the audience like to address the commission on this issue? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation. And before we entertain a motion, I've gone through the document, and I know each one of you have also. There's three key things that I think we need to address. So I'm going to bring up the things that I think we need to address. And if there's any other items that anyone else wants to address, we'll send those back to Scott. He'll fix them, and we'll entertain them at second reading. It's a very long document. If you look at your agenda packet, and I can't use technology, so I printed it out, killed the tree. But if we go to page 9, and we are in section 2-25, addressing workshops. At the end of the paragraph, I think we need to add, workshops are intended to allow staff to meet with the commission as a whole. Public comments are not required. That's how we've been running our workshops in the past, as long as I've been here. And just for the record, the reason the commission is doing this is because all this authority has been on the back of the chairman, which is the mayor. And I want to ensure that you as the public have rights. So that we're going to put it in writing that you have rights to address this commission for 3 minutes, and you have the right to do this and the right to do that. Otherwise, the chair could just change it arbitrarily.
What section are you in?
I'm in section 2-54, local rules.
Okay.
Paragraph B. I just want to add on to that, and maybe I don't have the wording quite right, Scott, but that's my intent. Anyone opposed to that suggestion?
No, because that was a question I had.
Okay, and then if we go to the next page, which is,
Are you offering language specifically?
well, I'm going to tell you what I wrote down here. Note, workshops are intended to allow staff to meet with the commission as a whole. Public comments are not required. I want to add those two sentences.
Okay, so we want to make sure that we make the motion on this, that we include that language, so that if we bring it back with that new language for this, for the
Okay.
public hearing.
Anyone opposed to that language?
No, but John, I think it's important that everybody knows, because of the sunshine laws, we can't discuss things at any time without it being a public meeting. And the workshops are our only opportunity to sit and go through this stuff.
Right, that's a really good point. Each one of your elected officials meet with Mr. Forte at least once a week. I'm here more than he wants me to be here, I'm sure. But we talk about the issues that are on the agenda individually. But we can't come collectively and talk about big issues except workshops and at these meetings. And sometimes these workshops, sometimes it takes us 3, 4, 5 workshops to come up with a resolution or an ordinance that we can support. There's no sense to bring a resolution or an ordinance to this commission that fails 5-0. We've just wasted everyone's time. So we give staff direction where we want to go with things, and they put it into the legal language with the assistance of the city attorney, and then we bring it before you as the public. And I think we are one of the most open public meetings that you will have. We don't require you to fill something out to come address us. Because what if you come in 5 minutes late and you didn't get the form? We're going to allow everyone to participate in our meetings. So I'm on the next page, which is page 9, paragraph B. Oh, I'm sorry, I reread that one. So we agreed on that. Go to the next page, which is G1, page 10, which would be a third of the way down, and it's paragraph 1. It says, to the extent possible, comma, the city administration shall group all matters by subject area and shall place as many, I want to insert the word routine, items as possible on the consent portion of the agenda, period. Then I would like to strike the words on the next sentence, those items of a controversial nature or, and I would like to start the sentence with, those insert items that need insert further discussion or an explanation shall not be placed on the consent agenda. The consent agenda is basically routine. A lot of them are housekeeping items. We just pass it, we pass 4 things with 1 motion. Sometimes we might have to just fix a Scribner's error in something, and we put it on a consent agenda. If anything, when Mr. Forte meets with us individually, if something's coming up and it's going to be 3-2, it's not going to be on a consent agenda because we need to discuss that and come up with consensus and vote on it. So that's my recommendations. I don't know if anyone is opposed to those recommendations or has a better one. Okay? So then we'll go back to page 12, which is the topic.
Can you do the section and the number and letter rather than a page?
I can. Did you find the second one?
Yes.
Okay. So now I'm on section 2-55, public participation. And we'll go halfway down the page to paragraph 2. And I would like, it says, all public comments, comma, I would like to strike the word whether regarding an agenda item, and I would like to strike the words or a non-agenda item, comma, shall be pertinent to the city or city business. Now, that was my thought, and when I consulted with Mr. Simpson, he said it's there for a legal reason. Can you explain that to us, Scott? Because I really didn't understand it.
There was a court case I recently read, came out in November of last year, dealing with the ability to remove people. I've shared that during this meeting. I sent it to the mayor and to Joe so they can look at it. They can share it with all y'all. You can read the court, and it does a very good explanation. When you deal with public property, the courts break public property up into different forms. And depending on the forum they designate, depends on the right to speak and the right of the government to regulate. So you have your traditional public forums, which are your parks, your streets, sidewalks. Those are places where have the greatest amount of First Amendment right, and then the local government has the least amount of ability to regulate. Then the far other end of the spectrum, you have non-public forums. For instance, the police department. You can't go in there. Even though it's public land, you can't go in there. But then in between, you have, and it talks a lot about this for the case. In the case, it talks about there was something called a designated public forum, which then the courts over time expanded to create a limited public forum. And the designated and limited are different. And it depends on the right to speak, what you can speak about, and the ability of the city to regulate it. But one of the key phrases in this court case that made them say it was a commission meeting, public meeting like this is a limited public forum, especially under public comment, was the use of the phrase, the comments have to be pertinent to the city. So that's why I inserted that language in. I understand what the mayor wants, but I want to make sure it's clear that all comments that are made during the meeting, whether it's under, you can, during public comments, it's non-agenda, but it still has to be pertinent to the city. You can then talk about agenda items, and those comments have to be pertinent to the agenda item. If you want to talk about something that's not on the agenda, you go to public comment, but you're not going to talk about something that's not pertinent to the city. So that's kind of the language we're going for. And I'll let you know, I am looking at what I kind of want to do is, and I've had a little discussion with Joe, and I've talked to other city attorneys, I am contemplating drafting a resolution for y'all's consideration where you designate what the forums are for all public property. Is it traditional, or is it non-public forum, or is it a limited public forum? And so we will have a designation for all of our properties. And then that will help the public know where and what they can do. And it will allow our police to know what they can do, and staff to do if somebody's engaged in conduct that in an area where it's not a public forum, we may have greater rights to remove people. So that's what I'm kind of looking at trying to do. And I've gotten comments from other cities, and unfortunately our city hall is not designed right now as a layout that is conducive to restricting access as some other city halls. I don't know how many of y'all walked into the front of Daytona Beach City Hall, but you're only going so far, and that's it. And you ain't going any further until you get somebody allowing you in, and there's 2 secured doors, and you have to press a code to get through. As you know here, people can walk in the front door, and they can walk anywhere. Right, yes. Right to Joe's office. I mean, it's very open, but my thought process, I haven't really discussed this with Joe a lot, I think some areas in here, even though you have access, it's not a public forum. You can come here, you can do your business, and then you leave.
Yep.
And if you don't leave, staff has the ability to call the police and have you removed. That's where we're headed.
Unfortunately, that's what's needed.
Yeah, that's where we're
in
headed.
Today's times.
And so I'm trying to gather some information. I've had cities say that there were a lot of policies and procedures put in place during COVID that they kept. And they have locked areas that you can only go to. And if you want to access a certain area, you got to call in to have people come out to see you. And if they don't call back, you ain't going. That's just not how you just don't have access.
Well, I've often wondered why this is a business meeting. This isn't just a kumbaya session for us all. I know, those are great sometimes too, but this is a business meeting. We have to get the business of the city done. So to allow comments about Mars or whatever somebody might come up with is just delaying city business.
Keep moving.
That's all I had to say.
Okay. So I'll defer to.
You got a mental that problem.
Bless your heart, sir. So, I thought that would be a necessary change, but.
That was an extremely long answer to your question. I'm sorry.
But, I'm not going to recommend that third change. I'm just going to recommend the 2 changes.
But I will tweak it to address your concerns. Some of your concerns are good. I just want to make sure we have, only because the court case And I'll ask Joe to circulate that to everybody. I don't want the mayor communicating with y'all, but I'll let Joe communicate.
Well, I think you and I communicated about
We
that
talked
a
about
little
it.
bit, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good for all, because actually I don't have all y'all's emails. That's,
So you are working on designating some of that?
I got to work with Joe and staff on that resolution. I've started drafting one, and trust me, when you get into the hardest thing in the world as a city attorney to deal with for me is the First Amendment. When you read these cases, you're going to read these, you're going to be like, really? What's the difference? It's so hard between, is it a compelling purpose or is it an important purpose? Is it the least restrictive means or is it a reasonable means of restriction? It's just, well, what's least restrictive? I don't know what the least restrictive possible means of regulation is. Those are really hard things you can read them, the words sound great, but to put it into practice, it's tough.
Thank you.
I just have always appreciated, Scott, in the 12 years that I've had to work with you, that you've made us err on the side of caution. Although I might say, no, it's this way. You make me err on the side of caution, so I've always appreciated that.
Sort of my job, I think.
Any other changes, additions, deletions that you'd like to see to this document before we vote on it?
No.
Going to come back amended and in second reading for us. So would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve with the stated amendments. I know, I've been doing this for 12 years.
Do we have a second?
Yes. I second it.
Any discussion needed?
No.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. We'll now move to item 3, which is a request for code enforcement lien reduction to 1885 Nova Road.
Is that on the corner of Flomish?
Yes.
Yes.
The old ice cream place.
Flomish Nova, right.
Snow cone place.
Snow.
Southeast corner.
Joe, you want to give us the update on that one?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Okay, so the city received a request for a reduction of code enforcement lien that was placed upon the property at 1885 North Nova Road. The property is currently owned by Daytona EXP CW LLC, Saddam Patel. This is the property that used to have a snow cone business on it. Over the years, the property has fallen into disrepair. In 2022, Elevate Acquisition LLC purchased the property along with the property located at 1117 Columbus Avenue, adjacent to 1885 North Nova Road, with an assignment agreement to transfer the property to BDG LLC, who sold the property with the intent of constructing a modern car wash. During the acquisition period, a lien reduction was granted for the property at 1117 Columbus Avenue, while taking into consideration the overall development of both parcels. The developer made a decision not to build the car wash, and over time, the property at 1885 North Nova Road, in addition to the property at 1117 North Nova Road, fell into disrepair. On December 8th, 2023, the special master reached a finding of fact and conclusion of law identifying several code violations on the property. The property remained in this condition until the owners brought the property into compliance in May of 2024. The property is currently in a due diligence period with a prospective buyer, and the seller, Daytona Beach EXP, is requesting consideration for a lien reduction on the property at 1885 North Nova Road. The property is now in compliance, but accumulated a lien of $137,000. In lieu of the typical reduction that I would use of 10% of the original lien plus administrative fees, I negotiated a lien reduction to $20,000, which is nearly 15% of the original lien without additional admin fees. Mr. Patel is in agreement with this recommendation and supports the City Commission approving this lien reduction. So originally, I was in the position to deny the lien request because I thought it was the same lien that was already applied to the property as a whole, but because our policy doesn't allow more than one lien reduction. But as it turned out, the lien was reduced for 1117 Flomish, leaving 1885 North Nova Road to have an opportunity for a lien reduction. So they're in agreement, should the commission so approve, that we'll get $20,000 for this lien to be released. It is in compliance. There is a buyer that's waiting to purchase this, and I understand this new buyer is also going to construct a state-of-the-art car wash. I don't know if it's going to be the same car wash plans that were submitted already, but that is their intent.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Anyone from the audience like to comment on this issue? Seeing none, we'll close audience participation. It's a great thing. We get $20,000 and get the property developed, so it's a good thing.
Motion to approve it.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries unanimously. That's the end of our regular agenda. Joe, you have any comments for us?
I don't have anything further.
Mr. Simpson?
No comments.
Start with Commissioner Curry.
Ooh. It's been a long 6 years before I got to start. But who's keeping track? I just want to congratulate the Citizen of the Year. Jim and I have always had a very good relationship. We sometimes agree to disagree, but that's okay. That's okay. And I love the fact that you're surrounded by your beautiful family. So, again, thank you for all that you have done for the community. You need to stop.
Sorry, Leaf.
I also want to congratulate the Corporate Citizens of the Year and thank you for all that you have done for our community. You've been a true blessing to the citizens during times of need, and you've really been there for us as a community partner, so thank you. And the Employee of the Year, thank you, Miss Sunshine. Congratulations. It's always great for the fun stuff. And I would just like to mention, I don't know how many people went over to Pictona this past week, but we had the APP, which is the Association of Professional Pickleball, which I kind of like the PPA a little better, but I'm not making that a public statement. Well, yes, I just did, didn't I? I tell you what, these tournaments that the professionals put on are just, they're awesome. I wish I could play half as well as they do. But if you haven't seen one of the professional tournaments, you really need to go next time they're in town because they really put on a good show. And they are fierce competitors too. I want to thank everybody that came out for public engagement. It's awesome to see. It is your duty to come up here and make sure we're aware of things and make sure that we're on top of the issues and doing the best job we can for you because that's what we're elected to do. And I'm going to try to enjoy my final 2 years of my term. Sometimes it's a little harder than other times depending on who's here to participate. And I am just extra proud of myself tonight because I did not engage just a smidge. So I told you guys I was going to try to do better, and I did, so I'm excited about that. That's all I have, Mayor.
I really don't have much to say. I'm good. I appreciate the input, though, on some of the changes.
Thanks.
They tightened it up a lot. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Commissioner Johnson.
Am I next? Next? A couple of things. I really hope we can go somewhere with the LPGA project. We all had meetings last week, I believe it was, Joe. And I don't know how far it's going. It just looks like it's so complicated, and it's been that way for lots of years, and I'm sure I won't be around to see anything started on it, but I hope it stays in the planning and they try to do something with it, but I don't, it just looks like it's a hard thing to do. I don't know how much everybody else got out of the meeting I went to the other day with it, but I hope it does, and I'll keep pushing for it, and we really need it, I believe, and LPGA needs a lot of improvement as we go further west as well. I know at one time the county had it on the planning for LPGA to go all the way to Madeline Avenue in Port Orange. But if you want to talk about it, nobody at the county seems to know anything about it except for the county engineer. He knew a little something about it, but everybody else just dumbing up about it. So hopefully it'll go somewhere. But and I hear it mentioned about the different areas where people are allowed to go in the city. And I go to so many places, you know, with the company I work for, with the hospital I go to at Halifax and all that, everywhere you go anymore, you've got to go through some kind of security. You can't just go into where all the employees and every worker is and be fully armed if you do it and nobody even knows about it. I mean, like you say, anybody can come through Holly Hill anywhere they want through the city and toting a machine gun underneath your belt, underneath your shirt or something. So it's something, I think something really needs to change about that. I think it does, you know. You had something to say about it, Joe?
Yeah, Commissioner, we looked at, it seems like my microphone's not working. We looked at the metal detectors. I was asked to look into metal detectors, and we looked at a couple, and we're going to go ahead and purchase a portable metal detector and a wand.
Oh, so not a, where you walk through?
Yes, it'll be a one you walk through.
But where you come in the door over here? Or?
Well, we're going to do it for commission meetings only at this point, and we'll set it up in the hallway out here. We'll keep these doors locked to come in, but you can exit them freely. So people come up, we'll lock the front doors. So everybody will have to come up the back of the building, up the elevators, and they'll come down this hallway. They'll pass through, they'll walk through the metal detector, and they'll enter into this doorway over by where Val is sitting.
Good.
And that'll be staffed by a police officer. So we will hopefully, I don't know how long the delivery time is on that, but that's, that is in motion.
Because, I mean, a lot of places, like Halifax Hospital, they would probably wouldn't even let you in with a nail clipper, you know what I mean? So it's just, they're really getting tight on, and I mean, everywhere you go in it anymore is that way. You know what I mean? But that's a good thing. I'm sure glad you're coming up with that plan to do that, and I hope it comes really, really soon, because I think it's well needed, and maybe we need more and more undercover police officers to be here doing a commission meeting like we got Mr. Curry out there. He's a undercover police officer.
That's my personal
I know. Now he's exposed. Now you've been exposed, right? And I really, Mr. Legary, I know I've been listening to you for a long time, even back as a mayor. We didn't always agree either, but one thing I really appreciate was how good of a job you did on paving my big parking lot and striping it for me and all. I really appreciate. I'll never forget that. It was close to two.
You're overpaid.
I paid for it. I made sure you got paid before I paid the contract. I made sure that he paid you. That's right. Remember that? And everything's going well. And the golf center now is open. The indoor golf center is open with all the different golf courses at the sports center. So if anybody wants to go try it out, it's doing real good. And we're seeing a lot of things right now with sports coming in this area. I drove by New Smyrna Speedway today going to Sanford. I had to work in Sanford. I mean, it is just completely full of big semis. Back when we was racing there, people was going there with open trailers and cars and all. Now it's NASCAR and it's full of semi-trailers at New Smyrna Speedway like it is out here at the Speedway. So there's lots and lots of events coming up. On Thursday there's the Twins, which is day after tomorrow, right? Yep. And then Friday, the truck races, right? And then Saturday we have the ARCA race and the Xfinity race. Yep. And then Sunday at 2:30 we got the big granddaddy of them all, you know what I mean? The Daytona 500. I appreciate everyone coming. I appreciate all your comments, all your concerns, and anything we can do for flooding, we'll do it. But I did learn one thing by watching that little thing you put up at Joe, that Harry's a lot smarter than I thought he was. Because you got to be pretty smart, I guess, to be a civil engineer, right? So I'll have to tell Harry he's a little smarter than I thought he was. But I appreciate it. Mayor, you
Thanks, sir.
pass on to the
Commissioner Snow probably has some words of wisdom.
I've got a couple of little things. First, Darlene, I am actually scared now to even go in the back of this room. So thank you for mentioning that you noticed I came back there. I won't be afraid next time. Jim, your wife was the first person to knock on my door when I ran for office. And she said, I need to talk to you. I'd like to know what you're thinking. And I really loved that. I respected it. It meant a lot to me. The Maddens, the smartest thing I did was buy a house on the corner of 3rd and Daytona. I can't tell you how much time and money that has saved me. Just walk out of the house and go there. Yeah, so thank you for that. And then one of the duties, responsibilities, is that we find people that we'd like to nominate for all the committees that help run the city. Kim is a new resident in our city, and she stepped up. We need more of that. We need new faces at our committees and our boards. We need the citizens to listen for what they're interested in impacting and step up, because we do need some new blood all around the place. And I think that's it.
Well, thank you.
Sure.
Well, without just saying ditto, I'd like to compliment all the award winners tonight for your contributions to our city, but for sitting through an entire city commission meeting. You could have left. You could have just taken your stuff and gone home. But it is kind of worth the price of admission sometimes. Couple things that the commission needs to work on, give you some homework. Charter review. Charter review is coming up. So it's your duty to find someone that lives as a Holly Hill resident.
Could I get a printout of that, what's required, so when I ask somebody to do it, I could just hand it to them, say this is...
Well, they'll set their own requirements. They'll have an initial meeting, and they will select...
I know, but it's something's got to be on about how many meetings you have to go to, if you have to go to a meeting...
They'll set their own. You just have to, we just appoint 5 people to the committee, then they select a chairperson, and then they determine how many meetings they're going to have to get the job done. It'll probably take a month. The first meeting, they'll probably get together. Hopefully, they have read the charter before that meeting. If not, they'll probably get back together 4 weeks later, give everyone an opportunity to review it. Then if they need to meet with staff or the attorney on some definitions on the charter, and then it's not, I would say it's probably no more than 6 meetings. But when's the time frame they have to have it done by, Joe?
I'd like to have them completed by October of this year. That'll get us through the holidays, and then right after the holidays, we'll have ordinances that'll be written so that we can get them on a referendum, and then there's a time frame to get them to the supervisor of elections to have a referendum either in the summer or the fall, whatever that time period is. So I expect they should be completed. We'll assemble them in March and have them complete no later than October. They can be done earlier than that. I just want to get it done by October.
Yeah, so 6 months commitment at the most, maybe 6 meetings.
So, say if you appoint somebody now, how quick do you think the first meeting would come up?
I would say within 3 weeks of when we, now, time is of the essence, because we'll appoint them March 11th. They need to meet soon to meet Joe's October deadline. When you meet with someone, just tell them it's probably a 6-month commitment. They'll be done by October. I would imagine no more than 6 meetings, realistically. It really depends. Make sure you select someone that's going to do their homework.
Now, the meetings will be in the evening?
They'll be here, yeah, probably.
Evening.
Well, it'll be, again, it'll be whatever they want. If you get a group of people and they want to meet in the daytime, it'll be up to them. We're not going to dictate when they meet or where or when.
Right, they'll bring their recommendations back to the commission, and the commission will vote on things, and then it'll go on to the special election.
Usually how that kind of works is, because part of the question, depending on the number of changes they want to recommend, you have to have a ballot question, a ballot summary, and so sometimes they will propose a ordinance to you that will have ballot language. Here's the ballot question, here's the ballot summary, which describes the question, and then each change. So they may, and a lot of times the debate is, do you ask separate questions for each change, or do you do one change, one question for all the changes proposed? And ultimately it comes to this body for approval, and y'all get to decide. You can change everything that they propose, that you can change the wording of the ballot question, ballot summary. You don't have to put on the ballot everything they've recommended. You can add to it. So ultimately it comes to y'all for a decision, but it'll be in the form of an ordinance, so it takes 2 readings here. But usually it's more than just saying, we think you should do these changes. what is the wording of these changes, and do they want to recommend a ballot title, ballot summary, all things that are required by law?
And you'll assist them with that language, right?
Yeah, usually, I mean, it's up to them and then what Joe wants me to do. What I would suggest is at a minimum, I go to the first meeting and I give them an overview and I talk to them to make sure they understand what the purpose of the charter is.
So that was going to be my next question. Was you going to be there to give them some guidance to start with?
In terms of,
In Joe,
this is what the charter, this is what a charter does, this is what you should be looking at. Answering questions they have. They can have their own meetings without me present, and then if they have questions, they can go through Joe and contact me, or contact me directly, however Joe wants to do
Now,
it.
is Joe going to be at the meetings with them?
I can be,
I will most likely be at the meetings, and probably Val will be there as the clerk to record.
yeah, they have to have recordings. It's a public meeting, it's open to the public.
Mayor, if I remember correctly, when you and I were involved, and I think maybe Commissioner Johnson, in the last one, they did bring back language for the ballot, but I think we had to tweak some of it so it wasn't so confusing.
You have just so many words to fit.
Yeah.
into that
That's the
ballot.
tough thing. You
I
gotta get
think that's
75.
what we did, was just tweak some of the wording, so it was a little, I guess, more plain for the ballot,
Yeah,
not so convoluted and confusing.
We'll discuss that in detail as they bring those items forward. On the surface, I would suggest we have individual items, not lumping them together
Right.
unless they are
Yes, that's what we did
specifically.
last time.
It depends on the number of questions, the changes they make. If they have, and I
There should
don't
be-
anticipate that, you have a very simple, straightforward charter. It's relatively recently updated.
Questions should be related, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But, each change to the charter is its own separate question. And so there is a cost consideration, because if you have a bunch of changes and your costs carry it over to the next ballot, then the city's paying for that entire cost of the ballot to put those questions on. So that's just something to consider as we go through it. But I would be surprised, your charter is not one that I can see needing a lot of changes. I think for sure you might have the question on fluoride, but other than that, I don't know. That there's not a lot of things in the charter that, that are conflicting or inconsistent with law that need to be really kind of rewritten. We're having problems with or issues with.
Okay, thanks. Two more things, and we'll get out of here. At the last commission meeting, I told you that one of our businesses is going to be highlighted on a national television show, the Moonshiners Master Distiller, Copper Bottom. It's not a spoiler alert anymore. He won the competition. Jeremy is now declared a master distiller.
Good.
So, unfortunately, the spirit he was asked to create is a Brazilian rum. That has some challenges to my palate. And his also, he'll tell you that. He didn't like making it, but it tastes,
didn't he
it tastes exactly how it's supposed to
To
taste.
put that spirit in one of the moonshine places, whatever you.
There's
distilleries
a
or
small run. He had like 120 bottles available last Tuesday.
But I thought I heard them say that
They do run it through a small
through
distillery
one
in
of
North
their,
Carolina.
yeah.
So that's something good. Stop in and just say congratulations to him. It's a great family business and a great asset to our community. You can go and get a Coke if you want. And then last thing I think I shared with you last Tuesday night is that this coming Friday is Valentine's Day. If you want the cheapest Valentine's Day ever, go to hollyhillevents.org and purchase 2 tickets, or register for 2 tickets, because they're free, because there's going to be a concert at Pictona. There are over 1,000 tickets already claimed at the present time. Means there'll probably be about 600 people show up, but it's 7:30 Valentine's Day. Awesome country band. Get your boots polished up and get ready to dance. They have increased the size of the dance floor for this concert, just considering people are going to dance to the music. If you go early. Parking may be a bit frustrating. It's park your own. Once you find out where to park or where not to park, you won't park there next time. But get there early, because the event we had last month, there were over 500 people in attendance. The attendance is building and building and building momentum over there. It's a great venue. If you haven't been there, shame on you. Go get a hot dog for lunch over there at the kitchen. Go walk through the gardens. Just walk through the place. It's an amazing asset that you all own. It's owned by the citizens of Holly Hill. It was built with taxpayers' money, with some of our money from our city, with ECHO money, but the vast majority was contributed by benefactors, the Martin's Charities. So go over there, check it out. Next time there's a big tournament in town, it's incredible. The people, the money that comes in to Volusia County, how many people have said they've purchased houses? Selfishly, I wish they all bought them in Holly Hill, but they didn't. But they bought them in Volusia County to be close to that asset that you, the taxpayers, own and the private charity runs. So it's a great thing. It's amazing. And when you turn on ESPN and you see on the wall on the championship court, it says, "Welcome to Holly Hill." That's something to be proud of, because I never thought we'd see anything like that in my lifetime. So thank you all for coming. Congratulations to our award winners. Thank you to our new board member. Thank you for everyone coming and being part of your local government. This meeting is adjourned.